Welcome to 300 Yards to Unknown. I'm Rick Gehman. That right there, that's Eric Patterson. We are a week off. Is that what we had, EPAT? A week off?
Just a week off for your golf trip up to TPC Harding Park that we were just discussing. You didn't quite pull off the Morikawa shot on 16, but you gave it your best effort.
I was telling you before our mics went hot, standing on the tee box, I don't know how he hit it. I don't know. I mean, there's cypress trees kind of in the way. You'd have to go high. You'd have to hit a cut to roll it up to 7 feet or whatever he did from that tee box in the 70th hole of a major championship. I have no idea how he did it.
That's why I won, $2 million for it. So you got some work to do to reach those levels, but I'm glad you had a good time up at Harding Park.
That's why he's the pro.
yeah. For sure. The rest of it was a good week to take off. I mean, no offense to the guys down in Punta Cana, but definitely an off week that was last week.
And that was definitely strategic. So the wife and I looked at the schedule, and I said, what would be the best week to leave in the middle of the week, get away for a couple of days? Obviously not a U.S. Open. The week after a major is usually pretty good. And the fact that it was Punta Cana, I was like, that's the one. That's the one right there.
Yeah, it was. I was the same. I took Saturday off, didn't really treat it didn't give it my full attention, if you will. Maybe tuned into a little more football on Sunday than I like to admit. But yeah, it was a nice finish. Hudson Swafford came through. I would have liked to have seen Mackenzie Hughes pick up another victory, but another top result for him. But solid week. Looking forward to. I'm actually excited for the Sanderson farms. There's some good names. A lot of like first timers that we're expecting to break through. So getting back into the flow of things here after the U.S. Open.
It's not a great field, but it's 100 times better than last week's field.
Yeah, like it doesn't even compare. And the Scottish Open's going on too. So if you want to wake up Saturday, Sunday morning, maybe a little bit of little hangover, you can tune into some Scottish golf with quite a stacked field over there as well. So
did you get a chance to talk to Mac Daddy after last week?
I didn't know. We were lining up the interview in case he won, and then it didn't quite go his way at the end, so I figured I'd give him some breathing room. He sounded pretty disappointed with how it ended. Obviously, like when you're in that position, they just want to win. They don't care about if they come second or third, for how much the money they make. It all comes down to the victory.
And he made bogey on the 72nd hole, I believe, right? Which it wouldn't have mattered anyway, but in that moment, you want to at least give yourself a chance to get into a playoff, I assume.
Yeah, it was a tough drive, put him in a bad spot on 18, and then Swafford made a birdie. Yeah, on 17, the group behind. But yeah, it wasn't meant to be. But every week there's a Canadian, and Taylor Pendrith making noise down on the Corn Ferry Tour as well. So we're coming.
We're coming. Taylor Pendrith is like 5th in the non-member FedEx Cup points. So if he could get a couple more starts up here, make a little run, might be able to get himself some temporary membership status. Let's talk about the U.S. Open. You and I, oh boy, both have some crony, I believe.
Not great.
In our defense,
I'm willing to eat it. It's fine by me.
In our defense, Rory also doesn't know how it happened, how Bryson was able to win at Winged Foot. I mean, it was phenomenal. I mean, what he did what he ends up winning by 6 shots, right?
6, I believe.
Six under. Wolfie was even par.
Yeah, that sounds right.
It was incredible. It was something I did not think could happen. Although I guess there's a lot. We'll talk through a lot of this, but I guess it kind of makes sense that the guys with fast club head speeds can hit the ball out of the rough. It doesn't really matter. Like Wolf did a lot, like Bryson did almost every single hole. Maybe that helps, but very impressive stuff from Bryson.
I mean, hindsight being 2020, you look back, you think about it all. It makes so much sense that Bryson would do well there, just because of driving distance. The fairways are too narrow. His club head speed out of the rough is just. He in his post after he won, he just said like what inspired him to get strong and develop that club head speed was watching Brooks Koepka like mash it through Bethpage Black at the 2019 PGA. So
it always comes back to Brooks Koepka with.
But like it's true, because Brooks was missing the fairways, and he would just have pitching wedge in, and he would swing it as hard as he can. It would fly up high, land soft on those greens, and just having that strength that Bryson has now is such an advantage. And it showed at the PGA. It showed again at the U.S. Open that what he's doing is completely worked, and it's just the new shift in where golf is going. As if you like it or not, it's up for debate. But He proved me wrong, completely wrong. He proved Rory wrong. It was just, completely dominant performance. And he was good everywhere else. It wasn't just driving either. So hat off to Bryson. He everything he was doing in the offseason is completely justified.
You mentioned this, and Bryson mentioned this. He said the fairways were too narrow. When the fairways are that narrow and everyone's missing the fairway, the guy who's hitting it the furthest and is the strongest has an edge. He also mentioned, like, if the fairways are too wide, he has an advantage because he can spray it all over the place, still find a fairway. So I guess what we're going to ask, if we're not going to do anything with the equipment, which I don't necessarily think you should. I think that's a slippery slope. I think it's a can of worms that you open up. Then we're going to rely on golf course architecture and the way they set up the course to be the defense. So I don't know what the right width of fairways are and if it's just really thick rough outside of that, but that might be like, we might just be relying on setup to play defense for the next however many majors.
It's like, I'm so happy I'm not like a course setup guy because you're going to get ridiculed regardless of the setup.
Yep.
I don't know what the answer is. Reading some post-round press conferences and quotes, Louis Oosthuizen has no idea how to set it up to defend Bryson either. One interesting take that has been being floated around was it was almost like the rough was too thick because then how the ball was coming out of that rough was almost too predictable. Like you just swing it as hard as you can and it's going to go 80 yards like every time regardless. So I guess what is very tricky for these guys is unpredictable rough where it might be sitting up, it might be sitting down,
where it's
like
kind
the
of like
flyer type lies.
Spotchy or whatever.
Yeah,
Splotchy,
it's like if you shrink down the rough maybe a couple inches, it could look buried, but it might also come out like perfectly clean. And then that's where you get the flyer lies. And I think that's might have what happened to Bryson at like the Memorial and at Olympia Fields, where the rough wasn't like, you're losing your ball if you drop it in it, or like like 6 or 7 inch rough, which is just everyone just hacking it and gouging it. So if you make the rough like I personally do not know the length of the rough to make this happen, but you need to have some kind of unpredictable nature for that grass that puts a little doubt in these guys' heads. Because every time Bryson walks up to the ball in the rough, any of those guys, give me a wedge, swing it as hard as I can, it's probably going to go 80 to 100 yards and run out up onto the green. So, I mean, I don't have all the answers. I have
That's
no answers.
interesting.
Really,
but I've not heard that. I mean, the theory makes sense, right?
It's I'll give it to Andy Johnson from the Fried Egg came up with it. He's a huge course setup architecture guy where he just said, the 3 to 4 inch rough where it looks thick, might not be thick. That's the stuff that really confuses these guys. Not the 5-6 inch rough where they just know it's just hack it out and hope it goes as far as it can.
Interesting. Okay, so I guess that leads into, does something need to be done? I guess is part one. And then with that is like, do you care? Okay, because here's the argument. Kyle Porter from CBS, my pal, made this. It's a very good argument, but I don't know where I agree with it or not. It's like, if you just hit driver wedge every single hole, you've eliminated what used to be like the skill set that set you apart, which was like your short irons, your mid irons, your long irons, like the ball striking, what we call like the purest part of golf, right? The guys who have the best swings are these ball strikers that can hit. Like imagine Adam Scott hitting a 4-iron, like the most beautiful thing in the entire world. Yeah. Like that's the beautiful game. Now, I don't know if I care about the beautiful game. I'm all for optimization in my world. I'm all for pushing the limits, doing everything within the rules. So I don't know how much I care about it, but like, do you care? Should something be done? Or is this an overreaction to Bryson winning one major championship?
I think maybe a bit of both. It's so, we could talk about this for hours. There's people, it's been, we're 2 weeks past it and we're still talking about it because it is such a compelling topic. I think my biggest issue is that I don't think the driver should be the easiest club in the bag to hit. There's been guys who say, whenever they're feeling a little nervous, they just pull out the driver, they swing it as hard as they can. That club face is so forgiving.
Yeah, it's so big.
It's going to probably go straight with the way these guys swing it. I just don't think the driver should be something you can just swing as hard as you can at. I think there should be a some sort of precision with hitting a driver. Like Rory McIlroy probably hits the center of the square, like club face, more frequently than anyone else. Whereas, Bryson could hit off the toe, or any of these guys who swing it really hard can hit it off the toe. It still goes 330, 320. Like, it's so forgiving. So that's my biggest issue. It's just watching them swing as hard as they can. It does take the beauty out of like those old school swings, even like the Tiger long irons, those things. That's why we marvel at what Morikawa does, because he can hit his 5-iron and 6-irons just as well as these guys can hit their pitching wedges. Like, that is a trait, that is a skill that needs to be rewarded. Obviously it was at the PGA Championship, but I think we're moving away from that type of skill, and we are going to see a lot more 360-yard drives. Bryson's putting a 48-inch driver into his bag soon, which is out of control.
Yeah.
But he's going to figure out a way to control that, and it could be going 380. And then he's just going to be every course is a pitch and putt at that point.
So that's kind of the thing with this is we're recording this September 30th, 2020. Bryson's not stopping. No. Right? Like, he's not like, I'm content with my game and I'm going to see how many majors I can win in my current form. He has already, like, within an hour of him winning at Winged Foot, was like, yeah, I'm going to put the 48-inch driver in my bag. I'm going to try to hit it 360, 370, 380, see how far I can take this. Like, he's not stopping, and other guys aren't going to stop either. So it's not like we need to, if we're going to play defense, it's not against September 30th, 2020. It's about like the future of the game, which I think is interesting. Now, this kind of leads me to another thing, EPAT, which is like, should pros play by different rules and or equipment than the rest of the public? So it's weird, right? Because you have sports, right? You have the NBA and rec league at the YMCA, like, are relatively the same, but the rules are the same, but the skill sets are completely different. But in golf, when you have such different skill sets, I feel like you kind of need different rules, right? Like, I don't think there should ever be a like out of bounds for recreational play. Like, everything should be a lateral hazard. Like, literally everything should be a lateral hazard. If you hit it 200 yards up in the fairway, you're not reteeing it from there, go up, drop it. Like, I think there should be different rules. Should there be different equipment? Should pros have to play different balls, different drivers? Like, I mean, they already test this stuff. They already have conforming clubs. Should it just be different?
They already play different equipment. True. You can't go to wherever, Golf Galaxy, Dick's Sporting Goods. We have the same stores up here in Canada. You can't go there and get the driver that Bryson has. It'll look the same. It'll look the exact same. You can't go get the same one Tiger has. It'll look the same. But as a package, through the shaft, through the club head, through the weighting, through how hot the faces are, they're different. So they're already playing the best.
They're also like, did you know there's like 11 different types of Pro V1s that you can get? Like, there's not the Pro V1, there's not the Pro V1X. That's what we get at Golf Galaxy. There's like high flight, low flight, mid flight. There's like 11 different versions of it that you will never be able to see.
They get to pick, the pros get to pick what ones they want, but in general, Joe Schmo gets a box of whatever. So it's they're already playing different equipment. Yes, it's going to look the same. The club head's about the exact same size, plus or minus whatever. But it's a slippery slope. I'm interested to see what happens at Augusta, because I do think that there is an Augusta ball potentially in play, a limited flight ball that they might one day put in, whatever, how far down the road that is, I don't know. But if that course starts getting picked apart and just bludgeoned to death with driver wedge, they would be the ones who have enough power, have enough say in the game to do that. That's the Masters. Everyone will conform to whatever they say, but it's so tricky. It's so hard to say, because I'm a believer that they already are playing different equipment. So and that their equipment's better than our equipment. So it's like they're already getting an advantage. I don't know. Crazy. You can compare it to different sports. I guess tennis a few years ago, their ball was getting too fast. So we saw it in like the serve and volley era. I guess these guys were just hitting it, 120 mile per hour serve volley. There was no rallies anymore. There was no strategy. It was just kind of a power game. So they slowed the ball down, which made, those rallies come back into play. The angles come back into play. I could talk about this forever, but I would just, for golf, some of the best courses in the world are slowly diminishing in their prestige and how tough they actually were designed to be played. It would just be if Fenway Park became no longer existent, if Wrigley became too small for the MLB players, people would be up in arms to be rolling back whatever it is they have going on there. So,
Yeah.
Again, you could say the same for golf, but again, this is like it's coming from Bryson winning one tournament. We're probably overreacting, but I just think it's a trend. And it's like the smallest snowflake in a snowball that's just going to continue to grow and grow.
Yeah. Very interesting to see how this works itself out over the next months. Yeah, I mean, and years, quite frankly, because even if you got the regulating bodies all together and decided something was going to change today, it wouldn't even go into effect for at least a year, right? I mean, that's how these things go, right? The anchor ban, anything like that, you get a grace period. So even if they decided, hey, we're rolling everything back right now, Bryson's got like 5 more majors before those things would go into effect. You could stockpile a lot of trophies and a lot of major championships with the current form. So it's going to be
one, I guess. So Wingfoot, they purchased a bunch of land on, I think it's number 16, or they moved that tee back, cost a bunch of the members a ton of money. I think they stretched it out to like 500 yards, and Bryson went driver wedge when what they wanted to do was have it like driver 5-iron, driver 6-iron, but like no amount of land. You can't keep building these courses longer and longer because the longer guys are just going to keep getting an advantage because of how far they hit it. So it's weird that in order to limit length, we're actually building courses longer when that's just giving the guys who are the longest an advantage. So shrink down the courses, make every par 4 300 yards and see what would happen.
Just watch everybody drive the green. That'd be pretty cool. Okay, anything else on Bryson? I have one other topic for today, one that I teased on Twitter, but I mean, I know we could talk about this for years, but anything else on Bryson, equipment, US Open that I missed?
No, it might sound like I'm bashing him, or like hats off to this guy for taking one of the biggest risks a professional athlete can take in terms of transforming their body when they are already a top 15, top 10 player in the world.
Yeah.
This guy is not going to stop trying to find edges. So, good for him for, using the equipment, using technology to his advantage, and just, showing that it can be done.
And I completely agree. Like if you're willing to do whatever it takes, and also it didn't take that long.
No.
Like it was like 7 months. He was like, at the beginning of the year, he was like, I'm just going to do this. And he did. Like it's kind of crazy that he could quote unquote break it in that short of a period of time.
Whatever training program that he is on, they should be selling copies online.
It's Orgain. Don't you know that? It's like all he talks about. Orgain. Oh, man.
He had to thank all his sponsors in the post-round press conference, too. That was Bryson is I love it. I love it. I love it. I was cheering against him. I didn't want to see him win, but man, he makes golf fun. Worth
every dollar if you sponsor Bryson. I promise you that. Let's see if I can get him a RickRunGood.com on his bag or something. How much do you think that cost? How much does a bag sponsorship cost for Bryson?
He's got like Trump National on his bag, so I'm sure someone's paying a premium for it. Bose and Trump Trump golf courses are on his bag. So yeah, if you can match those guys' paychecks, then get on there.
I don't think I can. Maybe we'll see. All right. I put this out on Twitter. I talked about how we can make, or if even anyone cares to make, a season-long fantasy golf product / league / whatever that is more similar about fantasy football. And the reason this came up, EPAT, is I think it is very clear that season-long fantasy football, obviously very popular. It's great. It has the built-in benefits of it being a weekly game, which golf also has. I feel like us as golf fans miss out on the fun of season-long fantasy football, where it's like, I want to draft, I want to have free agents, I want to have trades. I know that there are one and dones. That's not what I'm talking about. I know that there are best ball leagues. I ran a 200-person best ball league last year. It was fine, but it's just like, it's not active management. So I guess my first proposal is, can a season-long fantasy golf league even work? Because there's a lot of quirks to it. And then how we would even create one of these and what the rules would be, we'd have to figure out as well.
I think, yeah, like you brought this up on Twitter, and I thought instantly, like, yeah, like why don't we have something like this? Because, like you said, it's weekly. You have this down period to do your waivers, to do your trading. You can start a lineup every week depending on who's playing. I think there's something there for sure. I've done best ball. Like people were throwing out like doing best ball because that's, I guess that's the newest thing in fantasy football. But like to me, that's not that fun. You just do your draft. I have one best ball team, and I couldn't even name you a single guy on my team because you just set it and forget it, and that's not what's fun about fantasy football for me. Obviously, the draft's good, but it's the active management, it's the trades, it's like cruising through the free agent pool, it's setting your lineup, it's all those decisions that go into it that makes it fun. And I think golf's in a great spot for that. It would be weird because not everyone plays every weekend, but so you have your top tier guys, you have like your middling range guys, like Sung Jae would play every week, so that's maybe a top pick for that.
He'd be like the top pick, yeah.
Yeah. But then that's where like free agents become like a huge deal. You'd probably have like 6 or 5, depending on the roster size, maybe like 25% of your roster is like constantly being turned over every week, which I think is kind of fun.
So I listen to a lot of like season long fantasy football content, and I'm like, I wish we could create this content for like, could you imagine if we came on here and we were like, all right, who are the pickups for this week? Well, like is so-and-so available in your league? This guy's probably going to play the next 3 weeks in a row, right? Like you have to start thinking about what their schedules are going to be and who the top pickups are. And so like, that's the stuff that we're missing that I think could be a lot of fun.
You keep bringing it up. Like, yeah, this week would be like Davis Riley. No one would have him. He would be like, whatever your free agent budget is, like those bids would be going in. People would want to get Davis on their roster. Someone who ever scooped up Will Zalatoris for the U.S. Open would be laughing. And you have like, if it was like a keeper league, you could have, you could go on and on. I think you could rival exactly what fantasy football does. I don't know. You'd probably do it based on earnings for the week. I don't know how you'd pay it out.
So that's the thing. So I guess. So I always think like, okay, it would be cool to do like head to head, right? Like just like in fantasy football, you rotate through the schedule. Although by the time you got to the playoffs, the most important time, you'd probably have to have multiple weeks because you don't want to get into a situation where you lose your playoff matchup just because Rory took the week off or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think you'd just do, I don't know. I saw someone said that they do one where it's like 12-team league, and if you win the week, you're 11-0. You just get points based on however many players you beat.
That's
so everyone's record would be 11-0. The last guy, whoever had the least amount of money earned, would be 0-11 because you lost every head-to-head matchup. So, I think there's definitely probably different ways to do it, different fair ways to do it. You could do. I'm in one right now actually that is. So it's obviously daily like weekly DFS, but we do like. There's 25 of us. Top finisher gets 10 points. Second gets 7, 5, 3, 1, and then it's an ongoing points race pretty much. So it's pretty much the exact same thing as a season long. You just have you draft a new lineup every week.
So I like the idea of you play against everybody every week. What's that called? Rotisserie, right? Isn't that what rotisserie is called?
Old school baseball.
Right, which I think makes sense because then you wouldn't necessarily even have to have playoffs. It would just be like, okay, if the season ends at the BMW Championship or whatever your record is throughout. You could do earnings. You could go off. I kind of like the idea of doing it DraftKings. So I wanted to take the best of draft. So people were like, well, why don't you just redraft every single week? And I'm like, well, why don't I just play DraftKings every single week?
Yeah,
like that's the same.
You can do that.
Yeah, that exists, and like then there's no trades, there's no waivers, there's no free agency, nothing like that. So I was like, so I wanted to make it like start 6 guys, which would be what you did on DraftKings. That might be too many, or you'd have to have rosters that were like 18 golfers, and if you have rosters that are 18 golfers. Having to start 6 of them, if there's 10 people in your league, you're talking about 180 golf. Feels like a lot. So I don't know. You might have to just start 4 a week, for example. But I like the idea of DraftKings scoring because the scoring already exists. People are aware of it. Try not to reinvent the wheel here. Like I'm not trying to do like 1 point for a fairway hit. You know what I mean? Like
No, keep
stuff
it
like that.
keep it points based, like what DraftKings does, which
And
it would be
and
easy to, you don't have. I like that too as well. I don't like money. It varies on what tournament they're playing. So
yes. And
every
if you
week
miss
would
the
be the
cut,
same for
zero,
points. Yeah.
which I don't necessarily like if you're only starting 4 guys. If you miss the cut and you get 22 DraftKings points, at least you got 22 DraftKings points.
And you could do like best 4 or 6 guys. You could do it so you do hedge against guys missing the cut, or even like top picks missing the cut. I think like it depends on how many players would you take, like 100. It seems like a lot. I think the fewer players that are rostered, the more fun it is for like midweek pickups and stuff, because you'll be trying to build your lineup based around that given tournament, depending on everyone would be going after the top guys on free agency every week, which I think would be fun. And you'd have like tough drops to make. Like, I don't know, you'd have, if one of the top guys is in a funk, or like maybe like a Matt Kuchar might be a decent example. He's like 20th in the world, but he's been playing kind of crappy. You could drop him for a Sam Burns or someone who's going to make a run on the fall swing.
I want to read some of these responses because there were a couple of good ones. I'm trying to find the one that I wanted to point out here. Doing prize money throughout the year came up a couple of times. Like that's whatever.
That's what people do in one and done. Yeah. I think prize money is probably out, but I do like the points total because everyone's familiar with DraftKings scoring.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, it was Hunter O'Neill who said he runs a 12-man league like this, auction style draft. That would be interesting. We'll talk about that in a second. Each team selects 8 players. We play 4 each week. Trades, waivers, free agents are all available. Each team faces every other weekly. So at the end of the event, a winner has an 11-0 record. That to me, I think is the
pretty spot on, yeah.
Best scenario so far. Would you auction style draft or would you snake it? Because I think if you asked me this a couple of years ago, I'd be like, there's only like 3 guys at the top. If you have one of the top 3 picks, that's great. But I don't know. The tour is deeper, and those guys don't play every single week. Like I think you could snake it and get away with it.
I think you could too. People would probably think that they're drawn dead if they got like the 10th or 12th guy. You're picking, I don't know, you're picking a European maybe who doesn't have a ton of starts, or like it would be hard to rank the players to begin with, because a lot of it is starts based. So some of the dudes, like I'm just thinking maybe Fleetwood, who's like in that 12th in the world ranking, he doesn't play a ton on the PGA Tour. There's so many ways to do it. I think auction I like because that just brings in more strategy to me. You could go JT Rory and then just a bunch of scrubs and hope to get lucky that way, or you can build a completely balanced. Like why not both? Are you planning on developing this or something?
Okay, so here's also the other problem is like I don't know where this I don't want to keep track of all of this myself. So what I would love to, so here's my ideal situation is if like I had a league that I could talk about, we could chat about, and we could create content for, but like in the same way that Matthew Berry from ESPN plays in a league, he doesn't run like all the other leagues or make all the other decisions. Like I want this from I think it would be fun for me personally. I think it would be fun for the community. I think it would be good for content. But like, I don't know where this exists. Like, is there a customizable, like Fan Tracks is where we did our best ball. It seems to be highly customizable, but like everyone would have to go set up their own league like they do for fantasy football. But I don't know if Fan Tracks can handle this. I don't know if there is another piece of software. I don't want to do it through Google Sheets or whatever.
Yeah, no, that'd be a nightmare. Yahoo had
Yahoo?
Yahoo had fantasy, but it was more like weekly. Set your lineup every week based on who's playing. You pick from tiers, I believe it was. So it wasn't quite the same as what we're kind of getting at here, but I think something that just resembles exactly what football does would be so much fun.
Yeah. And I don't think, right, don't reinvent the wheel. Like everyone's very familiar with fantasy football. Just take all the best parts of it, turn it into golf, call it a day. Like I would be thrilled with that.
Some of the ones like I used to do hockey, I did baseball, but I tried basketball, but like those leagues where you got to make new lineups every day based on, because there's 5 games on a Tuesday, 10 games on a Wednesday. It's
I
just
hate
so
that.
hard to keep
Yeah.
track. So that's the best part about football. You set it like, you maybe got a guy going Thursday, but mainly set it Sunday, and then away you go. So this would be set it Thursday and then regroup come Monday.
The the season. So I wanted to touch on your point about like the perception of like if you have the first pick or second pick or third pick. So in December or January, I think it was in December, we did a draft on Pat Mayo's show, a
Right.
season-long draft. And we had a couple of stipulations, like you had to have a guy over 40 and you had to have a rookie. Those were the only stipulations. But like, for example, Rory and JT, they went 1-2. Brooks went in the second round. He was like pick. So it was, I think, 6 people. So he would have been at the turn 6, 7. He was 7th. And like, he had a bad year. Like you would have got burned on that. Patrick Cantlay went 8th. You probably would have got
Average
burned
year,
on that. Bryson didn't go until the 3rd round. So like
Things do change in golf
a lot.
Yeah. Like Morikawa probably wasn't even, he
5th
would have
round.
been, so like
20.
yeah, that's a pretty
30th.
big steal.
Yeah.
Like Matt Wolff probably went pretty late. He would have been a nice one to have at the end of the year. Like maybe even like he could have been like a potential free agent pickup. There's guys like that.
Spieth went early. Like, could you imagine? There's so much. There's so much to consider, and it changes so often. We talk about how volatile this is, especially over. I mean, let's say we started this in January. You're talking about what, 35, 36 events? Like that's a long time.
Yeah, that may be the knock against it. It's such a long season. Like football is 3-4 months and you're done with it. But I guess you would start January to the Tour Championship. That's probably a logical season. Like
yeah, I think the most logical season would be Sony to BMW.
BMW, yeah.
You know, the first full field event to basically, it's not the last full field event, but it's the last 70. And then you don't have to worry about the staggered start. You don't have to worry about those 30 guys, because if you're in a 10-person league and you have to start 4, there's no way you all have everybody in the Tour Championship, just mathematically. So I think the best way would be Sony to BMW.
I think I would love to play in one. I wish there was something like that out there. I was just thinking like you could even go, because you'd want like guys that play, you'd almost want to map out their schedule ahead of time. Like if you really want to start thinking about it, the guys who are going to be playing those mid-tier, like the Waste Management, the guys who are going to be playing like the Desert Classic or Torrey, or just like you would be familiar with their schedules. You'd hopefully try to piece together perfect lineups almost all the time. Like it would be weird to have like the start-sit decision. So if you have 8 guys who are all playing that week and then next week you only got like 3 guys, it would just be like I could see a lot of in-season turnover, in-season activity that I think is what makes fantasy extremely fun too. Like you'd be wheeling and dealing all season based on where you are. If you're down on the rankings, or if you're like low in the standings, you got to make up some ground. Rory's not playing. You might need to flip him for someone like a Scotty Scheffler this week and try to make up ground that way.
It's true.
Like there's so much to consider. I think it would be sweet.
All right, so you're in if this ever gets off the ground.
So what is it? We got 3 months to create a new website and develop it all?
Here's the call to action. If anyone knows a site that this can be done on in some form or fashion, I'll look into Fantrax. I thought it was fine when we used it for best ball. It had its issues, but it was very customizable and allowed us to do a lot of stuff. If there's a customizable option for this, that might be a good place. I'd love to have, I'd love for everybody to get out there, get your friends. We'll have 100 leagues or whatever, and they're all 10 or 12 people or something like that. But we got to find a place for it. So if anybody knows, rick@rickrungood.com, send me an email. We'll try to. We got 3 months to try to figure this out.
There's got to be one. Like one of those sites can come up with it. I don't know. Like Yahoo definitely wouldn't at this point, but like you said, Fantrax. There's a few others I'm sure that are middling in the fantasy stuff that can pull it together. I like the scoring scheme. You just use DraftKings scoring. I think that'd be completely fine. And then head to head, or just like we were saying, Roto.
Roto's probably. I like head to head better because I think it would be fun to be like, yo, EPAT, I'm playing you this week. You suck. I hate you. But like, I think actually like for the betterment of the league, I think Roto is probably the best.
And then auction snake. I think there's two different ways to go about it. I think both are completely fine, and both are really, really interesting. And different strategies involved.
And that's the thing. As this, in theory, evolves, this is whatever you want. This, I mean, fantasy football's got PPR. It's got half-point PPR. You've got snake. You've got auction. You've got waiver wire
Keepers.
or your fab budget. You've got keepers. You've got dynasty. Like it can be anything you want, all within like the same small core values.
Who would be your first overall pick in a keeper draft?
Oh, Justin Thomas, I think.
Yeah.
Right? I mean,
JT, Rom, Morikawa, probably like top 3, maybe Rory.
Yeah, I mean, Rory's like has many years left.
Yeah,
like let's be very clear. But
a 20-team keep, like if you had like a Morikawa, you could have Morikawa for his entire 25-year career. That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, Rory's 31. Justin Thomas is what, 28?
27, I think. Yeah,
27. So I mean, yeah.
But like, it's interesting to think about it from that point of view. Golfers don't typically. Like Tiger would be pretty low on the list.
Yeah.
But for a single year, someone might take him a bit early. But most of the young guys, I guess, are the best players. But you might be more inclined to take like a Zalatoris or Davis Riley or someone who can make some noise.
I was really impressed with how many people were like, oh, yeah,
playing their own.
Like we do this, but we do it all on like this weird website I developed, or like we all do it all through Google Sheets, or like I send out an email every single week, which to me says, one, that's awesome. And two, like people want that. Like
people are doing it.
It's already happening. Imagine if there was an easy way to do it, how many other people would. So if anybody wants to create this site, I'm happy to give it the little boost on the platform that I have available. If this works, it'd be great. So
hopefully someone reaches out and throws in some suggestions. That'd be interesting and definitely something different to look forward to and strategize about for a full season. There's nothing worse than doing a best ball or doing a pool where you just pick guys and you check it at the end of the year and see what happened. Like that's not what we're looking for here.
Right. That's not what we're looking for. Those exist. They're fine. They're different. That's not what I'm looking for.
We'll see. We got 3 months to figure it out before the Sony.
Now I'm all amped up. EPAT, the score. What's going on?
Are we doing picks for the Sanderson first?
Shoot, yeah. Let me get my notebook here. Sanderson Farms.
We took last week off. Last week would have been a bloodbath anyways.
The chicken capital. Let's see here. All right.
I forget who I even had at the U.S. Open and all those.
You had Xander to win. You had Rahm to top 10. You had Brendan Todd as your sleeper.
Todd lingered. He did the same thing he did at the PGA. He was hitting fairways, but fell off on the weekend.
He did. All right, Sanderson Farms. Let's talk about this. Sanderson Farms. Back-to-back reigning rookies of the year are here. Scotty Scheffler, first start back since testing positive for COVID, which forced him to WD from the U.S. Open. The shortest he's ever been, 11, 10, 12 to 1. The most expensive he's ever been on DraftKings. Any concerns, EPAT?
I wasn't until what he said this morning in his press conference that there's some parts of his game right now that are a little rusty and he's not in the exact rhythm that he would typically be in. But again, you could just have low expectations. Maybe you don't think your game's sharp. He comes out tomorrow and shoots 64 and he snaps right back into it. So I think I'm not overly concerned. I think if he didn't skip the U.S. Open, people would be all over him. So what's four rounds maybe even 2 rounds at the U.S. Open? Sure. I don't think it should just persuade you to go elsewhere. I like him a lot.
He wouldn't have played otherwise.
No.
Right? Yeah.
He's played. So I looked into the Sanderson numbers. He came 16th, I think, last year. And the first year he played it, he lost 9 strokes putting and gained over 10 tee to green. So I think it seems like a perfect spot for him just to kind of swoop in and steal his first win. I don't know. I'm not overly concerned.
I love it. Let's start with sleepers. Is everyone in the industry sleeper Davis Riley?
Seems like it, right? But his numbers dropping heavily. I think I saw him at 33 to 1. So
stop it. He opened at 225.
Oh wait, Davis. Sorry, there's too many Davises. I was thinking Cameron Davis.
Oh, I like him too. I like him too.
Okay. Yeah. No, Davis Riley's down. I saw him down to 100 to 1. So
yeah, that's what
I can see the narrative around it. I'm not entirely sold. He missed his cut. He missed the cut last week on the Korn Ferry Tour. He's been missing some cuts a little more frequently than I would have liked, but the upside's definitely there to contend. All right, from a DraftKings perspective, if he's approaching like 10%, that might be a little too high.
For our purposes, I'll take him as my sleeper.
Go for it. I don't mind it.
2 wins on the Corn Ferry. Mississippi kid. He's from like Hattiesburg, which is like an hour and a half from Jackson. Should be a very comfortable spot for him. Made the cut here last year. I will take Davis Riley as my sleeper.
What is our sleeper things again? 50
I think
and over?
we said 50.
Yeah. I was going to cheat because his number, I just saw 50 on him, but he's 9,100 on DK and Ches Reavie.
You want Ches? You can have Ches if you want him.
I don't think a lot of people are talking about him. I don't know. He came third at the Safeway like 2 starts ago.
Yeah. I have not said his name all week.
If this turns into approach and putting, I think he's kind of. Everyone wants to talk about first timers, but these veterans want to win just as badly as the first timers, and Ches has done it before. So I'll take a cheap one with a 9,100 DK sleeper and Ches Reavie.
Ches Reavie, your sleeper. Top 10. So this golfer just has to make the top 10 one way or another for us to get credit for it. Would you like to go first?
No, you go.
All right. I'm going with Will Zalatoris because
really?
Yes. I think there are very few opportunities in handicapping where your goals for the golfer align with the golfer's goals. So obviously winning is one thing, but with the 7 sponsors exemptions that Will Zalatoris has that he's not touched yet, and if he continues cashing top 10s, he gets to play the next week, and he's trying to earn enough points for that special temporary membership status. So yes, he'll be trying to win. Yes, he'll be trying to play the best that he can, but he's going to have his eye on that top 10 number all week long. And I think it's rare that you get that opportunity, and I don't want to miss it.
Hey, that's a valid point. My only rebuttal would be he already has his last week. He didn't have an invite into the Sanderson. He's already got his Shriners exemption, and he admitted to being exhausted and mustering everything he could to get that 65 out of him at Punta Cana. So
you think a Thursday, Friday ejection, get a little extra rest, go to Shriners and have your spot. I mean, I could see that happening.
I could see him coming out hot, maybe riding that 65 and then maybe letting the gas off on the weekend and just points are points, like a 30, top 40, top 30. Those are average results, but they're still points. I think he still wants to make the cut. I don't think he's just going to waste the start that he has, but I just don't think that motivation's there, right? Like
he needs 98 more points, which would be like, there's a lot of different ways to get to 98, right? I think
is that all he needs?
Yeah,
that's like a second place.
You have to get to 125 from last year, and he's 98 points away from it.
Yeah, he's going to get it. I think this is a perfect time for him to capitalize. He's not going to be playing the CJ Cup and those events, but he'll go Shriners, and then he'll probably play Bermuda, and then I guess the Houston Open is the rest of the season.
Is that what would be next?
Yeah. I don't know. He definitely seems destined to be on the PGA Tour. It is interesting because if COVID didn't hit, he would be like the hot rookie that everyone would be loving. Okay. And same with Davis Riley.
I made this case earlier. So there was already a situation where the line was blurring between the best players on the Corn Ferry and, I don't know, player 100 on the PGA Tour. And you saw that because Scotty Scheffler immediately comes up, has great success. Sungjae Im comes up, immediately has great success. Now with the COVID and the fact that no PGA Tour player lost their card, that line is even blurrier. There are definitely guys on the Corn Ferry Tour who are better than a lot of guys on the PGA Tour, and I think this year more than any, that's the case.
Do you know Will Zalatoris' world golf ranking?
Do I know what his data golf projected ranking is, or do I know what his actual world golf
ranking is? His actual one.
I don't. If I had to guess, 81.
Okay, he's 70, which is just quickly looking at the list. He's ahead of Spieth, Cameron Champ, Sebastian Munoz. He's ahead of Max Homa. He's ahead of Doc Redman, Noren, Howell. Corn Ferry Tour guy, but he's legit. He's a PGA Tour player.
Data Golf had him ranked at 24th, which I think is a bit aggressive. But
I guess I don't know what they base that off of. I don't know. He is impressive, but yeah, I think there could be maybe a bit of a lull in his performance this week, but I wouldn't be surprised if he contends.
Your top 10 for this week.
Top 10 lock is going to be Scotty Scheffler. I just think
Scotty.
tee to green. If you give me a guy like what would his odds to be top 5 in strokes gained tee to green this week? Like even money?
Oh,
Like he's constantly top 10, top 5 tee to green.
oh,
That's
real
what it
quick,
takes.
real quick. The nerdiest fantasy league we could do, because golfers don't have positions, is you have 2 guys for off the tee, 2 guys for approach, 2 guys for around the green, and 2 guys for putting. Add up their strokes gained for the week, and that determines whether you win or not. So you get Rory, but you have to decide which stat you get him for that week.
So you get their strokes gained.
Yeah,
That'd be pretty. Yeah. All right, let's develop the first one, and then that'll be 5 years from now. We can turn that iteration around.
when they
that'd
get
be
shot
pretty
link,
cool, though.
shot link at every you'd have to take off the weeks they don't have shot link.
Yeah, that would be tough. But like Mackenzie
fun would
Hughes
that
would be
be?
like a first. Like, do you want good putters? Like those would be like your
You
tight
want
ends.
elite guys that play a lot, like elite at one thing. So like Hideki, you just play like around the green, and like
Him and Benny Ann are the around the green guys.
yeah, exactly. And then you get like I don't know. I'm trying to think who's like well-rounded. Like the well-rounded guys aren't as good because you have to decide where they're going to be that
Yeah,
week.
that'd be interesting. Bryson would be first for like off the tee. He would just dominate.
Yeah, he would dominate that. Anyway, sorry.
That is super nerdy though. He was geeked out too hard there, thinking about who would be what.
That's next level. All right. So this is what essentially our one and done is. So you've picked Redmond at the Safeway, which
Oh
got
no, I already did.
that was T3 money for you. That was good though.
Yeah.
Xander at the US Open, I don't remember what he finished.
I think he was top 5.
Oh, dang.
He definitely was top 5.
So you're doing great here. Now your pick so you can't use either one of those two. Your pick for the Sanderson.
I get to go first?
Yeah.
I'll go Sam Burns then.
Nice.
I think, again, yeah, everyone's on Sam Burns. Everyone's on Doc Redmond this week. It's pretty, pretty popular play, but
I love it. Fun fact. Since the restart, there are 2 golfers in this field who have gained more than 1 stroke per round on the field and are positive in all 4 strokes gained categories. Sam Burns, Cameron Davis. That's it. That's the list.
Cameron Davis made that list, eh?
Yeah. He's been impressive. I'm going to take Scotty. And
Wow.
yeah. So I think that
You duped me. I thought you were skeptical of him.
I am. But here's the thing. I think you're right that if he played the U.S. Open, we're only talking 2 or 4 more rounds that we would have seen from him. I don't know what he's been up to. Maybe he is a little rusty. Maybe he's just setting low expectations. I think he's still very clearly the best player in this field. I also think, to his credit, he doesn't have a natural fit really anywhere else, right? And even if you want to use him at a bigger event, like you're going to get a lot of bigger names there too. Like I don't know what I don't have a reason for not burning him now. If
I'm
that
just trying to
makes sense.
what is Scotty Scheffler's game? Because is it just everything well? Maybe
yeah. I mean, I guess it's better tee to
but
green. It's definitely better tee to green, but he's very solid.
like when he's on, he is like constantly got like 5 foot, 10 foot looks for birdie and just
makes a ton of birdies.
Yeah, just pounds puts it tight all the time. But yeah, it's not like he's like a natural bomber or like just a perfect iron player like maybe a Redmond is or like one of these long hitters off the tee is, but he's just very well rounded. So all right, I can get on board with Scheffler.
All right, so that is for Eric. Reeve sleeper, Scotty top 10, Burns to as his one and done. Scotty's my one and done. Zalatoris my top 10. Davis Riley my sleeper. Those are the picks.
You're just going straight Corn Ferry Tour grads, the youngest dudes in the field.
Let's do it. KFT like for life. All right, let's try this again. EPAT, the score. What's going on over there?
Just full golf coverage. That's all we got. Just download the app. Track your fantasy football teams. Track your favorite teams on Sunday. Track my golf articles. Actually this week for the score bet, if you're in New Jersey, Indiana, or Colorado, we had actually some pretty juicy golf lines, which we typically don't have. Sometimes they're a little, right around average, but I was kind of blown away by how good our odds were this week.
Is the score actually? Wait, are they taking bets?
Yeah, we have a betting app in New Jersey, Colorado, and Indiana now.
I didn't realize it was actually to like put bets in. That's next level.
Yeah, we're a sports book. You didn't know
Oh,
this. I'm not
no.
doing a good enough job then promoting my sport.
So wait, is the score required to get on with a brick and mortar, or are those are the states that they can just do like mobile only?
I don't know what you mean by that,
So
but
like some like DraftKings had to buy a casino in some state because like you have to have like a physical presence there.
you have to have some type of like, I don't know all like the legalities of it, but you do have to buy some kind of stake in like a legal sports book entity in
Yeah,
that said state. So I
got
think
it.
we have ties to like a racetrack in New Jersey, and
Got
then
it.
same thing in the other states. But we are only mobile. We don't have.
Right.
I don't think we have physical books. Like
Like you can't walk up to a window of the score and place a
no,
bet.
no, it's only mobile.
Wow.
Yeah,
I knew there was a new betting app, but I thought it was like, and also I live in California, so I can't do any of this, but I thought it was like just more betting focused content. I did not
no, it's
realize.
a full on sports book. Yeah, obviously we're going up against some of the bigger players, but
That's awesome.
a long term play. Once it like the score was big in Canada for a long time. Like the score app has been huge up here. So once it gets going, once the Canadians realize what sports betting and how profitable it could be, it's gonna take off. So yeah, exciting times. We're slowly rolling out to all the states available.
That is exciting. I just learned something new today. Thank you, Eric. All right. I think that'll do it. Eric Patterson, you can find him at ePack Golf. You can find me at RickRunGood. This has been 300 Yards to Unknown, and we'll catch you next time.